Audio. You now may leave, lady.
Do I have to say got it?
Got it.
I have to say that on the computer.
Stand by. Audio in 3, 2, 1.
Wow, that was music, was it not? Welcome to Mr. Restaurant, Season 2, Episode 4. I am pleased today to have Susan Feniger and Liz Lachman. Is it Lachman or Lachman?
It is Lachman.
It's Lachman. And today's topic is really about resilience in the restaurant industry. And we'll be getting into that in a bit, primarily through a documentary, a Verite documentary that Liz has been working on for some time. And but primarily, I want to tell you a little bit about Susan and Liz. And Susan is really unique in many, many ways because she's a great person to begin with. But other than that, she's an American chef. She's a restaurateur. She's a cookbook author. She's a radio and TV personality. And she's starred in cooking shows, Too Hot Tamales. She's been featured on Iron Chef, Top Chef Masters, Cooking with the Master Chefs. For 40 years, she's literally traveled the world to bring food back to LA and others around the world. And primarily the restaurants that she has been associated with in LA is the Border Grill, City, Ciudad, Street, and Socalo. She's received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the California Restaurant Association. She's received the LA Times Jonathan Gold Award. Oh, I'm gushing. But recently she was awarded the Julia Child Award, honoring an individual who has made a profound and significant difference in the way America cooks and eats and drinks. And she was recently inducted into the permanent collection of the food exhibition at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. And I'm exhausted already telling you that.
I can leave now because apparently
No, stick around. Stick around. We're going to talk about Liz Lachman right now because Liz Lachman, let me tell you, is another award winner. I'm around these award winners, but her real deal is that she was an Emmy Award-winning musician and composer. She's a Golden Reel Award-winning music editor. She's a BMI TV Music Award winner. She's an award-winning filmmaker and a screenwriter. And they're both accomplished. And I feel like walking out the door right now from the grotto. I'm intimidated.
We need you.
But we're really here to talk about Liz's latest project, which is called Susan Feniger .4. It's a documentary, is it not, Liz?
It is.
And
it's a documentary.
And it basically follows Susan's first solo restaurant venture, Street.
Yes.
Right? And
well,
it's a story. It's a story about starting over and resilience after failing. Is that right?
Well, I would say it's definitely a story about reinvention.
Reinvention. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, Susan was doing her own restaurant for the first time without her longtime partner, Mary Sue Milliken. And so there was a lot of new things that she had never done alone. And also because she couldn't use the shared staff they had built and she couldn't use their shared kitchens from their restaurants together, because this was her own project, she did everything from our house. So that became a big, oh yeah, I like to call it a big
your house.
Our house. Everything, all the recipes were tested. All the things that one might do at an office or in the kitchen were done from the home. So the wine deliveries, the glasses, and everything that got delivered, and it was all in the house. And I thought, this is interesting because she's at the top of her career. She's done everything, and yet she has to start over to do this particular restaurant. And I thought it was interesting. I said, somebody should record this. I didn't mean me. But
Well,
I was there.
you are her partner in many ways, correct? Your
Yeah.
life partner, and Mary Sue was her business partner.
Right.
So that must have been a bit of a jumble initially when you said, let's go do something solo, Susan. So how did that affect Mary Sue or even Liz? Because you're kind of caught in the middle. You've got two relationships going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, Mary Sue and I have been business partners now 40 plus years. Liz and I have been together 27.
I was 12 when we met, so.
Wait a second.
And-
So how did you and Mary Sue get together initially?
We worked, we met each other in Chicago working at Le Perroquet. So Mary Sue had been there for, I think, maybe 3-4 months. And she was the first woman in that kitchen. And then I came along and the owner, Jovan Trebojevic, was like, wow.
Could you repeat that again?
Because it's
Jovan,
Move on.
he thought, wow, I never had such a great deal with, I never thought women could work in kitchens. And so he
Other than
hired-
at home.
Yeah, other than at home, exactly.
barefoot and pregnant.
And this was late 70s that we were working there, and we met there. And at some point, probably after a year or so, when the chef went on vacation, Mary Sue and I ended up running the kitchen for those 2 weeks. So it was really a big turnaround for them, but that's where we met. And we worked there for about a year and a half. And then I left Chicago and moved out to LA and then got a job at Ma Maison where Wolfgang Puck was a chef.
So you and Wolfgang literally were in the kitchen. Were you a sous chef to Wolf?
No. I was a line cook.
You were a line cook. It was
I
a
was
job.
line cook. Yeah.
And how did
you
you
wear
even
one
get,
of those cool bandanas?
Yeah, of course.
how did you even get into Ma Maison?
Well, I had, worked I had gone to culinary school and I had worked in a great restaurant in
Where'd you go to
Kansas,
culinary school?
the CIA in upstate New York.
Hyde Park.
Yeah, Hyde Park. And I worked in a great restaurant up in Brewster, and I worked when I was at the culinary. I started one of, my part-time jobs was at this restaurant that I thought, oh my God, I thought they were crazy. It was two hippies that owned it, but I worked there and I thought they didn't know what they were doing. And of course, then they opened like a year later, the Quilted Giraffe in New York City became one of the most well-known restaurants. And I was, the big culinary student thinking like, they don't know what they're
You
doing.
were basically a punk.
Yeah, I
is what
was
you're
totally
trying to
punk.
say.
So
You didn't know what you didn't know.
I
Right.
worked in, good restaurants. And when I came out to, and Le Perroquet was very well known at that time. And so when I came to LA, I was trying to decide, should I work at L'Hermitage, L'Orangerie, Ma Maison, or La Toque? And I went to all of them and I got hired by Wolf at Ma Maison, which
this is-
I'm so glad that was where I ended up. when I
This
moved
is
out
late
here.
70s.
Yep. Yeah.
Got it. Just before he does Spago.
Yeah, matter of fact, I left after, I don't know whether it was maybe a year at Ma Maison, or maybe a little bit longer. I left to go work. I got a job in the south of France at L'Oasis, a 3-star restaurant there. And a few months later, I had gotten an email or something, or I don't know what I got, maybe not an email.
I don't think it was
Yeah.
an email.
Yeah, not an email. I got something and found out Wolf had left to open up Spago. And so he had left and hadn't opened yet, but he had left and was opening up a restaurant, and I was in the south of France. So
Well, I was very fortunate because I found that location for him. So that got me started in the restaurant business.
is that right? You found the Spago on Sunset?
I did find that was my very
Wow.
first restaurant real estate deal. And I thought, gosh, nobody's really focusing on restaurant real estate. I'd come out of doing residential brokerage. I was trying to support my acting and producing career. And I didn't want to wait on tables. So I
Right.
ended up, finding this commercial property. I didn't know anything about Wolf. I didn't know about Ma Maison. I couldn't afford to go there. I was
Right.
a starving actor trying to make a living in LA. And I stumbled across this joint. It was literally a Armenian restaurant with a fabulous view. And
Wow.
I put the deal together. And from there, it
The rest is
helped launch me.
history.
Yeah, no,
That's
Wow.
incredible.
it was a
That's
great.
amazing. I didn't know that. And I've
Yeah.
known you for a long time.
No, we have known each other for a long time. I haven't known Liz as long as I've known you,
No.
but I'm curious about Liz, even though I know, the two of you want to talk about this project, certainly. But Liz, how did you get involved in Susan's sphere? Did you know anything about Susan and cooking and any of that? Were you even involved? Because you were involved in the music world, right?
Yes. and
Film
I
it.
did- Well, music first.
Music,
and-
music.
From the
yeah.
time, how young, Liz, did you
I don't
start
know, I
with?
started singing in a big band when I was 15 in
Oh
Detroit.
my God.
I
Where?
know.
Where in Detroit?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What kind of music?
All big band, classic jazz, yeah, that's
The
what I.
music's
She's
in
an
your blood.
an amazing singer and songwriter.
Holy.
That's how
moly.
I fell in love.
Oh my
All
God.
right, cool.
So
Well,
when I stopped doing that, that was the end.
Did you see
So-
her perform? Is that what happened? You saw her perform?
You've seen me perform, but I was way past performing when I met Susan.
Yeah.
Because I had transitioned out of music and into screenwriting and directing when I met Susan, by the time I met Susan.
You met in LA.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it. Got
Yeah.
it. All right. Well, you certainly both had storied careers and divergent careers, but in a certain way, now they've intersected because, again, you're life partners, but more than that, you really are developing a new life at this point
Mm.
together through this project. So tell me about the project, really.
Well,
What?
First,
Yeah, go.
first, let me say that,
Go.
through all this, when we've been together, Liz, as a creative mind, of course, is amazing. But I think also she's got a really great business mind. So
Yeah.
I think throughout my career, unfortunately, Liz has had to always be that sounding board of input and thoughts. And, it's very unusual, I think, to have that kind of creative mind with the great business mind. And she does.
I
So
I love how you say it. Unfortunately, Liz has had to. And for me, it's like, wait, someone cares about my opinion. I'm so excited. Of
Does
course,
Li-
I'll tell you what I think.
Does Liz ever go into Susan's menu creations and
No,
concepts? You stay out of
absolutely.
that.
no, absolutely
I
not.
sometimes do. And I say, why did
It's
you do
always
that
wrong.
one?
It's
And why
always-
did, this is too salty.
So you're the
That's
official
too much
taster.
vinegar.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Oh, what do
Yeah.
you mean? Like, why is that on the menu? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and also even a direction that, she might be going. Again, you've been together, what, 27 years?
Yeah.
So you've
But
seen
you
a lot of
have to
restaurants.
understand, I'm not a foodie,
You're not.
not at all.
No.
I'm the anti-foodie. I'm
It's
the
embarrassing.
I don't, it's not that I don't care about food. I'm not a cook. I'm not interested in cooking. I think cooking is work. It's not fun to me.
Yeah, Liz will come into the kitchen when I'm home and say like, oh, can I help? Can I help you with anything? So then I'll give her like green beans to clean, and
She gives-
after like
That's the worst job on
3
the
minutes,
planet.
it's like, okay, I'm bored with this job.
Yeah,
What can I do
because it
next?
is. Yeah, she gives me the crap job.
No,
I go, can I help? And she gives me like, you know what, cutting those ends off beans. It's like,
That's
ay.
tedious.
I don't want that.
yeah.
I want
she's
something exciting like
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 what?
like
But
peeling carrots.
that's how Susan got her start at Mama Maison.
Yeah, I don't want to be
Yeah.
her. I don't want to be that.
I like the boring jobs.
Well,
I
then you
love
do
I love
green
the
beans.
boring jobs.
Well, it can be mindless, and I'm sure Liz has a bit of an active mind, so that's maybe what, the problem is there.
Thank
Whatever
you.
the excuse
That's one
is,
way to put
no
it, a bit of
excuse
an
it.
active.
When
mind.
we first got together, I had to be in therapy to discuss why she didn't eat garlic or pork or shellfish. It's like, oh
Okay,
God.
let
I
me-
think this is the wrong person for
I
me.
hope you're
Okay.
over it by now.
Okay, I will say this though. Okay,
What?
I just want to say, I wasn't the reason Susan went to therapy. She was already in therapy.
Oh.
This was just a
Yeah, but it
topic.
took over.
It was
took
a
over.
topic
It
for
was like,
that
I don't know
day.
how we can be to stay together. I don't
I'm
know.
not charging for today's session.
Yeah.
I actually didn't, well, at one point we were on the phone and I said, I don't cook, and she didn't believe me. And so then I said, well, she goes, well, you use spices, you make your dinner. I said, well, I don't really use spices. And
Yeah.
she goes, well, you use salt. I said, no. And she goes, oi.
God.
Thus the therapy.
Mhm.
Oh, wait a second. I want to go back to the beginning of all this, relationship stuff, because it has to do with where Susan was in her career in the restaurants. Because was City happening? What was happening at the time that you guys met? Which restaurant concept?
I think City was closing.
City-
It was
was
closing.
Which I
closing.
loved. I thought City Restaurant was fantastic. It brought in all these global influences. It was in a huge, well, it started out as City Cafe, right? On
City Cafe
Melrose.
in Melrose, yeah, like
A
9
little
tables.
tiny spot that
Yeah.
subsequently became the Border Grill
The
Cafe,
grill, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So City Cafe then moves to La Brea, was the first of its kind of a big box, other than maybe the Hard Rock was going on about that time.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, you opened up this big ass restaurant.
With a tandoori oven.
And a
Tandoori
real
oven.
tandoori oven from
Real
India. In
tandoori,
India,
yeah.
tandoori
Well, you don't
oven.
mess around. You're authentic
Yeah,
in every
Yeah.
way.
that was a great, I love that tandoori restaurant. Mary Sue and I fired it ourselves with, it was just a raw clay pot and you had to glaze it internally. And so we went through the whole glazing process, like 9 hours at 900 degrees with brown sugar and mustard oil too.
Who taught you all this?
We read it
On the
in a book.
internet.
Yeah.
That
We
in
read it
therapy?
a book. Yeah. And we bought it from a guy who owned an Indian hotel in downtown LA. And we brought it back in a pickup truck. I was in the back of the truck holding it so that it wouldn't break when you went over a bump in the street on Wilshire or Olympic or
This is
whatever.
really old ways of doing things. you
Yeah,
know?
it was
Yeah,
very
but the
was
oldest are the
amazing.
best. Aren't the
It was
oldest,
amazing.
right? There's a
Yeah.
certain history to food that still stays with us, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, City opens up, and how did that inspiration even come to you on Melrose when you first did the cafe?
Well, because all of our training, both of us had trained in French kitchens. I took
French.
my first trip to India.
Aha.
So I'd only worked in French restaurants, took my first trip to India, and then came back and we started to put a couple Indian dishes on the menu. So it would be things like cassoulet and pot au feu, and then, potato bhajia and, an eggplant spinach curry. And then Mary Sue went on a trip and worked in the kitchen, like I had worked in the kitchen in India at the ashram. She went and worked in the kitchen in India in Thailand because her uncle was working over there. And so she came back and we put on like the Thai melon salad or, something like that, red curry. So all of a sudden our menu started to be from cities around the world. So then we decided, let's open up a restaurant and have it be food from around the world.
And that caught on.
It did. Well, we were there for a while.
Well,
Yeah.
but I mean, you
12
took it
years.
from this little tiny joint into a much larger 5,000 square
warehouse.
foot, big boat truss, wonderful gallery type spot.
Yeah.
And I thought the people were like the food. It was just so great to look at the people as well as the food looked great.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, it was great people. It was a great mix of people that came in. We wanted a restaurant that our friends who didn't have any money could afford to go to.
Right.
Was
Well,
it?
I was a starving
Yeah,
actor.
compared to some. So it was very mixed. There was, very movie star driven, artist driven, writers. It was a really great mix of people.
Very eclectic.
Yeah.
Just like the menu.
Yeah,
So Liz, were you involved at that time with each other or not?
No,
no.
no.
Okay,
no.
so
I
you're
met
just doing
Susan
your
when
music.
City was closing and Border Grill was going. And actually I was living in Santa Monica and Border Grill was in Santa Monica. So that,
You
just
stumbled into Border Grill, had a
closer in
margarita, and
proximity. And the rest is, we say. Yeah, so no, I was not part of City is the.
okay. So, but you got to know each other actually when the Border Grill was
Yeah.
in its infancy,
Yeah.
when that,
No,
because the Border Grill,
you guys had been there
Well,
for
not
quite a
that
while.
long though, right? 'Cause
had it been around?
Some,
been
but not
around.
for that many years, because we've been together 27 years. So
How long ago did it close?
I don't know, like
Three?
5. years ago, maybe.
But
Yeah,
it's
I
still
saw that.
operating at the Mandalay Bay Hotel.
Yeah.
Right? Very
And at the
successful.
airport, LAX, and
And you've had food trucks, and the Border Grill is a real
we still
big
have Border
brand,
Grill food trucks and Border Grill catering. That's still going on.
still happening.
Yep.
All right, well, listen, we're going to take a break because Dr. D is telling me, it's time. But when we come back, we're going to look at the sizzle reel for Susan Feniger .forked. Do we call it Susan Feniger .forked?
No, we don't actually say there's a period in the sentence.
We
by
don't.
saying Period. No,
Okay.
we just.
So
call
how
it
would you say it?
Feniger. Susan Feniger, forked.
How'd you come up with that title?
Well, I wanted to say the other word, but it wasn't really allowed.
Well, and forked is very
Well, I could
appropriate.
say, you could say it here, but I don't know about FTC rules.
I don't want to
Dr. D,
upset
do we-
Dr. D.
Could we say, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to
No.
keep things, it's a
No.
family show,
There you
So you wanted to say that because she was
Forked.
worked over. In a
Things
way.
didn't go, let's put it this way, things didn't go as planned.
Well, we're going to find out more about that after we break.
Okay.
We're going to come back and thank you really so much. This is great to be with you both. You're fabulous. Both of you.
Aw.
Thank you.
I'm hugging you.
Fabulous. You're
No,
fabulous.
you're fabulous.
Oh, okay. Bye-bye. We'll be right back with
Bye.
Mr. Restaurant. I'm Will Knox. See you in a bit.
All right, we're clear. So what we're gonna do
He's clear.
is.
Ladies,
Mhm.
Yes,
are we okay?
gentlemen, yeah.
This is going great for me. I don't know how it is for you.
Would you like me to go ahead and start the next with the scissor reel and then you come in with opening up the program?
No, I think what I'll do is I'll say hello back and then we'll intro the sizzle. You know.
You look
Alright.
at this.
I'm ready? Here we go.
We're going to do it in 3 seconds.
Looks like
Three.
you like, look at
Counting
me.
down right now. Okay.
3, 2, 1. You're alive.
Welcome back. We're with Susan Feniger and Liz Lachman, and we're discussing right now Susan Feniger, Forked, which is a Verite documentary that's a work in progress.
Mhm.
And we're going to learn a lot more about this work in progress after we see the wonderful sizzle reel that Liz Lachman has put together as the filmmaker of this project. Susan Feniger, Forked. We'll be back after about 4 minutes.
I'm sure I'm pronouncing everything wrong. I have no concept of the language itself. Oh, here's my third Vietnamese coffee. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. I'm learning. Come on.
Cảm ơn.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Jesus. I can cook though.
The very successful team of Susan Feniger and Mary Sue Milliken.
And maybe we shouldn't have had that last mojito. All my cooking career, I've always loved eating on the street. It's where I think is the most inspired part of a culture. It's where I think the food is the most creative. Whether it's in India, Thailand, or Mexico, or the United States, there's an interaction there that you just don't get in restaurants. It's real people that are bringing something that's very dear to them, and you get to share in that. And usually it's the most incredible food. It's the heart and soul of the culture.
This is exactly what I love. Why don't we have these in LA? That's what I want to know.
Thinking about opening this restaurant street was so natural because people that are serving off streetcars, off of the taco trucks, they're serving food that their grandmother or mothers, their ancestors made. It's so much about the heart and soul, and it's the most inspired food. It's really just a matter of figuring out what chairs, what tables, what silverware, glassware. Yeah, that works. You have to think about every single detail.
Wow, they sent so many. So I'm trying to look at tabletops.
See this? This means your friend is closer to you.
Come on, Cleo, get down.
We walked into it that first time, I thought, oh my God, how did this place ever get an A? It was so disgusting. This is such a dump. So now the zoning administrators won't sign off on it, but that means we don't get final permit for at least a month.
I want it to be done in 3.5 months. Cook the brisket, $1,000 dressing, make chicken stock, make the preserved lemons.
We've got like 2 months. We need to get the menu done. I mean, the menu's what I said was gonna be the easiest. Now I'm panicked because we haven't like gotten it. Is that the cigarette?
Look, look, look.
One of the best things about opening this new restaurant is to even be spending this time back in the kitchen.
I'm hoping we find a fudge that we really like because we made 8 batches of it yesterday. That isn't it. Fuck, fuck, fuck. We get about half done of what we think we're gonna get done every day. Every time anything takes longer than you think, it just costs so much money.
There's so much damage that we have to have the structural engineer termites and water run. We're paying rent for the last year on the ground here because everything else has got to come down.
I've gone through feeling elated and excited and inspired and then freaked out and panicked and scared.
And the crowd goes wild.
Well, I'm wild for that because I had chills at the end of it, and it wasn't just the music, which was stellar, but it was a visual treat. I wanted to eat the food. It's incredible, and I thank you for letting us even in on this 4-minute piece because I want to see the whole deal. When can I see the whole deal?
Me too.
Me too.
We're editing right now. We're in editing. We meaning I and the editor.
Yeah, not me.
Not Susan. We don't let, just as I don't go in the kitchen, she doesn't come in and tell
So
me.
she doesn't suggest a cut here or there?
Oh my God, I
Liz
would
is-
kill her.
Liz
She would
is-
not be alive right now. if she
Liz
did
is
that.
editing with the editor in London. And so every morning she's up at 4:30 in the morning and they start editing for the next 5 hours or so. And then I get up and when I go in to make a coffee, I hear my name. I'll be like, what are you talking about?
Talking about you, baby.
Nobody
Wait,
better, I guess, in that house.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is off of the subject? This is season 2, episode 4. You
Well-
waited till episode 4 to have us on?
Well, it took, Susan's very busy, and so are you, because you're both award winners.
Oh, wait.
They're hard to
he's putting
get.
it on us. He's putting it on us.
Well,
Whatever.
You know,
You're on now.
Oh, look at, she's so good. She's Miss Sunshine. You're on now. Be happy.
well, maybe when we do the book,
Yeah.
Mr. Restaurant, maybe we'll move this to the front and make this the
I'm
first
talking about.
chapter. Because
Yeah.
I'm with,
Wait, why not the cover?
well, you're brazen. Susan, I see what you see in her. I really do.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you? Huh.
I
Well,
do.
let's talk after.
Well, you know, I'm
She's trying to
married.
give me away.
I'm married. I can't go there.
Uh,
Gosh, all right. I'm getting the high sign again from Dr. D after that wonderful interlude we had with the sizzle. We're going to come back and talk a lot about how this whole project came to be and what's going on with the project and a little bit more about Susan and Liz and, you know, just in
or Liz and Susan.
Liz and Susan. It's the dynamic duo, and I'm really happy to have them with me on Mr. Restaurant today from the beautiful studios of KZSB AM 1290, FM 96.9. We're in the grotto with Will Knox and Mr. Restaurant. We'll be right back.
Right, we're clear on that and segment.
We're going to come back now shortly.
In
Do we have
three,
two? Do we have two more breaks?
We have one more break.
We have how much more time overall?
We have 30 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can you guys handle it? 30 more minutes?
We can handle it.
Yeah.
Because I think you could just be going on for a while, which is great for me. It helps. It helps me.
Yeah, we never shut up.
No, I love that.
All right, here we go.
We're going to skip around a little bit here,
That's
there. Okay, so
In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
I'm live. I'm back with Liz Lachman and Susan Feniger. Liz got top billing.
I noticed it.
Okay, I gave her top billing
I did
because
have
Good
to, I
work.
did have to nudge you a little,
Good
Will, but
work, Will.
you got there.
Good work.
this is her project, is it not?
It is.
And how did that come to be? Really?
Well,
When did
really,
you get the inspiration you want to do a Verite documentary?
You know, I had the footage. What happened is when I said somebody should record this, I borrowed a camera and I became the cinematographer. Because I did hire for one day a cinematographer and it was ridiculously expensive. And there's no way he was going to be there when things were really happening. So I just thought this is ridiculous. I
He or
hired-
she?
Well, it happened to be a guy.
Okay.
In this case happened to be a guy. And I thought, I can't just call him and say, quick, Susan's doing something cute. Susan, stop right there, freeze. So that wasn't going to work. So I did it. And as the editor now, I'm regretting that I was the cinematographer.
She borrowed our friend's camera and learned how to do it because that's not what she did. So Liz was constantly walking around with the camera in the house.
I basically shot Susan everywhere and everything she did, and recipe testing with Sasha in our kitchen, and architect meetings and menu design meetings, and going to the site and wrestling with, whatever was going wrong there, which was pretty much everything. And, that I got it all. So for a year and a half, and then we went to Vietnam and I shot Susan there and I hired a crew there because I thought if I screw it up, I can't go back and fix this. So I hired a crew and I shot. So we had.
Did
two
you have an
cameras.
interpreter?
Yeah.
Was it a
Yeah.
local Vietnamese crew, right?
And we went, yes, and we everywhere when we traveled. And then we went to Shanghai
Yeah.
and also in Singapore. And each place we hired, because Susan wants to eat where most people don't want to go for vacation.
The best food.
So most people get sick when they go to these countries and eat, like.
That's how you immerse yourself in the culture.
Right,
Yeah.
you get a worm. That's how you do it.
The best meal I ever had in my life, I was in Tunisia and I was on an excursion in the desert by camel. And we were 3 days by camel.
Wow.
And they took us up to this cave in the mountains and we walk into the cave. It was lunch. We walk into the cave and at the end of the cave, which was all of like maybe 150 feet deep,
Right.
was a camel lying down like a dog
Yeah,
in the cave. And this is where we were going to have lunch in Tunisia.
next to the camel.
The camel was like the pet of the guy that owned the
Oh my
restaurant.
gosh. Wow.
It was the greatest experience of my life. And I said, I am not in LA anymore.
Yeah.
In case you needed reminding.
This is
Is-
really far away.
Is riding a camel comfortable? Because for that many hours, it doesn't sound comfortable.
You do side saddle, you
Oh.
know, you don't always, go, 2 legs over the hump. And
Well, I mean, you got a saddle. You
you're
got
humping a
thing
lot
to
though.
sit on.
I'll tell you that. You're definitely
What?
humping a lot. You,
Yeah.
you definitely. So,
I was on a horse in Mongolia for 9 hours. That wasn't fun.
oh yes, that was a trip that you and Susan took, right?
Well, kind of.
Kind of.
I didn't.
Oh,
She
you
took the
did.
trip in my mind
Okay, well, that would be a therapy question. I'm not going there.
because
Yeah.
I was cursing her the entire time. So she kind of was there. I was cursing her for pulling out at the last minute on this trip. And I
I
thought,
had to.
She had to, but I thought if I don't go, I'm going to be mad at myself forever. And I'm probably going to take it out on Susan forever.
It probably would have been better had I gone.
Oh, it would have been so much.
I mean, the trip would have been better. I would have had more fun, and
Yeah.
the end result
Yeah.
of staying would have been better.
So,
But-
so that I'm just, when you said a camel for 3 days, that's what it reminded me of, which sounds so romantic, but then you do it and it's maybe not
Well,
as romantic.
Everything's a little bit more romantic until you really do it, but I'm in a
Yeah,
great
that sizzle
romance.
reel was more
I've been in a
romantic.
great romance for 36 years with my wife, and so you guys are in a great romance too.
Aw.
And we're all into immersion, and you have immersed yourself certainly in food and your culture and your filmmaking, your music, all of it. You guys are very deep. You're not superficial. You go deep. And I think that's what sets you apart. We're going to get into this a little bit more. Dr. D, do we have to take a break? No, we don't have to take a break. Oh, great. So we can continue.
When Liz and I first got together, we'd be in the car and listening to the radio or something or talking, and Liz would stop and sort of say, wait, hold on. I just thought of this line that I want to leave on my message machine
Right.
at home for a song. So she'd call her home phone and leave these few words on it. And then like 2 weeks later, she'd come home and there would be the beginnings of a song that her and her
2
writing
weeks,
a week later,
this
the
is like
beginnings
ancient
of,
history.
oh, it was
I'm
so amazing.
I'm sleeping right now.
It was amazing. Yeah.
I mean, really.
You both are creative. That's the essence of it all. And ostensibly, I think when you, Liz, saw what Susan was going through with this street foray, it was going sideways, and you thought somebody's got to cover this.
Well, it was before it went sideways.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be great. And I
To
thought-
chronicle the development of a restaurant.
Exactly. And especially with someone this is the first time she's done it by herself. It's all new things are coming up. And so I did follow and all the trips and the street food tasting and sort of throughout the build out of the restaurant and everything. And basically, it didn't turn out the way Susan planned. And one of my friends said, well, what are you going to do now? And I said, well, what do you mean? It's a tragedy. It just changes what the film becomes, the unexpected ending, So it's fine. It's all film. It's all storytelling. I thought it was going to be a happier ending. That's all.
Well,
It was a happy beginning and middle, for sure. It was fabulous, a wonderful ride.
well, when did you know it was going to go kind of south? I mean, what indication
Never.
did you get? In construction, did you think it was?
No.
There were problems.
That's normal. You're going to get troubles along the way. It's the restaurant business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the film business, right? I mean, the real estate business is the same. You come up with an idea,
Right.
you put a team together, you got to raise the money. You got to find the project, obviously, at the
I'm
get.
getting stressed out right now, Will.
Say that again.
It's stressing me out.
Oh, no. But at the end of the day, you launch with a great team, and you've got a great team right now, right? Tell us about that team that
Are you
you've got.
talking about the film team?
Yes.
Okay, so Lisa Don Malrive is the producer, and she just finished a wonderful dance documentary. It's called Uprooted: The Journey of Jazz Dance. That is now on HBO Max, and I advise everyone to see it. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the editor for that is Joan Gill Amram, and that became the editor for Forked because, first of all, I was looking for editors, and for some weird reason, I was always interviewing editors who had cut dance films, which I think is very odd.
Why?
Well, I didn't know why, but I think I've put it together now. I think because this film for me has a rhythm.
Syncopation.
It's some kind of rhythmic thing that I feel when I envision the film. And so I wanted someone who could cut dance. It wasn't a conscious effort. It wasn't a conscious thing. I just noticed it after 3 different people. And I thought, oh, that's weird. And Joan cut Uprooted. And when I saw her work and I spoke with her, I was sold. She's fantastic. And so we're now working together and she's doing a great job. And I get up, like Susan said, very early and we're working the film out. Should be done in the fall. That's what we're hoping. And Miriam, Miriam Cutler is the composer. Miriam Cutler is a very well-known doc composer. She did RGB. She did The Hunting Grounds. She did Man
Is
from
this the
Lamont.
music that we heard on the sizzle reel?
No, that is not the music, but
Got it.
she will be doing the music for this film, and she's all over the world. She's teaching and she loves this film. So very excited about that. So that's going to happen soon.
So you've got a tight team and you've raised a lot of your money to get this thing done, which is of course always the struggle in the restaurant business. How do I get to the finish line? And oftentimes, Susan, did you have all the money when you started Street?
No.
What happened there?
I didn't even know how we were going to raise the money. And Liz was like, you'll do it. People do it. Just go out, reach, ask for it. It'll happen. And I was like, I don't know. I don't even know who I'd ask or how to do it. And Liz was like, do it.
Well, actually, I remember there were like 4 or 5 different people who I overheard saying to Susan, if you ever do another restaurant, I want to be involved.
Always, you hear that all the time, but then
I know, but I thought so.
Step up. You know.
Yeah. So I thought, well, they've offered, see if it's real. And some of them were, so that was cool.
So that is what happened. You finally got over the finish line with those friends and family.
Remember the price tag kept going up.
Yeah.
Every time they dig up something and find another problem that had to be rebuilt, it was like, now we got to raise more money. It was crazy.
That location nothing had been done to that building in 40 years. Basically we ripped the whole restaurant down.
And this building was north of Melrose on Highland, where you could not stop your car between 4 and 7.
Yeah.
And
probably not
perfect location.
Yeah, probably not the best of locations, but I tend to
I
like.
do remember you saying to me once, you said, gosh, Will, Nancy Silverton is down the street on the corner doing Pizzeria Mozza, and she's killing it. What's wrong with me? And I said, I don't think it's anything wrong with you. It may be just 500 yards difference. It just may be that.
Yeah.
And sometimes in real estate,
and it's not Italian, it's not pizza, I mean, who knows exactly what I never learned from my mistakes.
Don't she looks at me when she says that. I never learned from my mistakes.
Do it again. You're doomed to do it again. I'm getting the high sign from Dr. D that we have 2 minutes on this segment, but we're going to come back after that, right, Doc? We have more time to talk. So when you were raising money for your venture, Susan, that was a struggle. And now we've got Liz finishing her project about you and your struggle. And, you're not going to raise all the money. But
I would not call this a struggle. I would
no,
say that
it's a labor of love, right?
In process.
It's a process.
Because, we have gotten a number of investors, which has been phenomenal. And we've also got a fiscal sponsorship from Film Independent, which means that anyone who donates to the film, they get a 100% tax deduction on their donation.
Oh,
So, right. So that's pretty cool. And so, it's just about getting that word out and finding people who are wanting to be a part of this,
And how do you get the word out? How would someone contact you if I was an interested investor or I was an interested sponsor?
Yeah.
Which, I'd love to have Mr. Restaurant sponsor you for sure, but we'll get to that later.
Okay, good.
How would one reach you?
Well, we have a website, which is forkedthefilm.com.
Forkedthefilm.com.
And that has all the information and the contact, and the producer can be contacted directly if somebody actually wants to be an investor, which is a little different than a donation. And you can also find the information about Film Independent, about that fiscal sponsor donation is on that site as well. It's got everything. It's got great pictures.
Pictures say 1,000 words, right?
Right. Yep.
I'd love to taste the food. See, that's where it comes out. In the sizzle reel, I wanted to taste all that food.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
great,
Mm.
you know? So it's a sensual experience. And certainly being with the two of you, I got to tell you, I don't want to get into, it's
You know what?
whatever,
Let's not
but you
do that.
guys are really very sensual. Your hearing, your nose, your voice, your eyes.
Female
everything.
power.
Okay, there we go. No, it's really, you're very sensual people. That's all I can tell you. So I love
think
being with
we
you.
are really heading into territory that is
No.
not going to be okay.
Mr.
really.
Restaurant covers a lot of different,
I see.
No.
Uh-huh.
it all comes back to the food, baby. We'll be right back with Mr. Restaurant. I'm Will Knox, and we're with Susan Feniger and Liz Lachman.
Liz Lachman. I love this. I'm gonna have to.
Huh?
Someone's gonna get murdered at the end. of
Liz
this.
Lachman. We're with Liz.
I might
we're-
just kill myself.
We're with Liz Lachman and Susan Feniger, and we're going to talk more about the project Susan Feniger Forked. We'll be right back.
Very good. All right, let's do one last segment here.
I'm having fun. What can I tell
I
you?
heard Dr. D laughing.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff. Good
I
stuff.
think when my female
Yeah.
empowerment figure came
Oh,
in.
Yes.
I love that. I hope I'm not being too bold.
No,
Oh, no, you're good.
just fine. You're just fine.
All
Now
right.
with him, fine is okay, you see?
I will not send this program to your wife.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can. It's okay.
All
All right. So what do we have?
Fuck.
Do we have 2 minutes to close?
Oh, you've got more than that.
What
You've
do we
got
have?
9 minutes.
Minutes.
We have
You've got
9 minutes.
more-
So
yeah, more
I
than
may
that.
have you walk me through the procedure of, okay, treat me like an investor. Sell me on this,
All
blah,
right.
blah, blah.
Uh-oh.
All right,
Okay.
3,
You're okay.
2, 1. You're live.
We're back. I'm Will Knox, and this is Mr. Restaurant. We're with Liz Lachman, Susan Feniger, and Liz Lachman, the dynamic duo. I got to tell you, you deserve equal billing, both of you.
Aw.
You really do.
Aw.
Thanks, Will.
I've gotten to know Susan certainly over the years, and I'm recently getting to know Liz. And you're both tremendous people, and you're great artisans. You're both creative in your own way, and we've been talking a lot about this new documentary that Liz has been putting together about the experience of street restaurant. What happened with the development of street restaurant? And I, for my own business, am a restaurant real estate and concept development guy. So development is a big deal, to me. So Susan, the arc of the development with street, it goes, on a trajectory, and here we are, and we're opening, and there's high hopes, and there always is with restaurants, and certainly with film and anything creative. You want people to embrace it. So what happened? When did it start to get funky?
Well, I think, we started with just open for dinner. And then we, I think Mary Sue and I'd always had restaurants that were open for lunch and dinner. So we decided we'd open for lunch, which I don't know that was the smartest decision.
Because there's
given
no
that there-
business around there, right?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Right.
And, then it just adds to labor cost and blah, blah, blah. And, but my memories of it are all really great, till it wasn't. I mean, so we
It's
were
the drugs.
busy.
It's the drugs.
Yeah.
The
It felt like,
The mojitos.
I worked we worked really long hours, Sash and I worked, long hours from early in the morning.
But that's
until
who you
late.
are. You work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a tiny kitchen, and we'd work 15-hour days. And I'd get home, I remember driving down Wilshire, it'd be 1 a.m. and I'd be back there at 7 a.m. And, and I think it, it just felt like it was busy on the weekends, but not busy, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but it would be busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you sort of don't see how challenging it is until you really are realizing we're just not making it. And, we obviously always looked at P&Ls and looked at bottom line and where we were, but at some point just got this is just not going down a good path. And so that we don't end up in a really negative place, maybe we need to reconceptualize, which is what we did, and we reconceptualized it and made it a little bit more accessible and neighborhood-like. And, I don't still really know, maybe it was a little bit ahead of its time. But at some point it got to a place where I think I felt like, we want to be able to pay our staff, we want to be able to pay our bills, so we should close the doors.
I actually remember when you said to me, I'm working for free and it's taking me away from my other restaurant, which is where we are making money.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense. All this energy is going to try to keep this thing going. We're making no money out of it and it's not working, but it is taking me away from the other thing that deserves to be worked.
Well, you made a smart
Yeah.
business decision at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, it was, for me, it was fun all the way up to, even the closing night was fun and, sad, but
Once
it was.
again, it's the drugs.
It's her personality. It's got to be her personality, Liz, right? So, what was it like watching this?
Well, it was very frustrating and
partners
sad.
in-
I
in
know
the
I
dregs.
felt like, I wasn't sure how connected she was to the negative aspects of this, because Susan, here's the thing. For me, I'm like, okay, we got to keep treading water. We don't want to go under. We meaning Susan. I don't want Susan going under because I can't tolerate that. She can't tolerate that, so some of this was just talking with her about everything, when she'd come home. Well, that's after Star Trek Voyager was over.
And therapy earlier.
Yeah. But when Captain Janeway was done, then I could put my attention on Susan. And so
Idiot.
sorry,
Yeah.
but it's true. So, okay, whatever, but whatever.
It's time for another mojito, I think.
But, just trying to help her process it, because there's plenty of time afterwards to deal with the afterlife of these things. But during it is when we can't allow someone, she needed her energy during that time. We can't be going, oh, this
But
is
the
so sad.
film is really about reinvention and resilience, and it's
Yeah.
hopeful, right? I mean,
the film-
it ends hopefully, right?
Yes, because the truth is everyone fails. And so the real question in life is how one fails, not if they fail. Everyone will fail. Do you get back up? That's the measure of success, is how you treat a failure in your life, And so that's really what this film became, was how does Susan Feniger do this when she fails, which no one really would expect, given her circumstances and given the way that I'm structuring the film. We all know that Susan Feniger will be fine and she comes out on top. And so when she doesn't, it's going to be like a knife to the heart. But I won't leave the audience with a knife in their hearts, I promise.
Well, I think people like to be uplifted at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a great story to be able to transmit. And if I was an investor, would that be something you'd try to sell me on?
Well, yes. There's one other aspect to this film that I think we haven't seen before, and that is that I have access to things that no one will ever see Susan doing.
Like dancing with a dog?
In her pajamas.
Where is
Right?
the dog? Is the dog here today?
No, the dog
She
left.
left.
Okay,
She got
dog
bored.
left. All right. Dog had enough.
Yeah.
She's on the
So-
couch. One of them's on the couch.
So
Yeah.
really it's like, I was cutting something yesterday with the editor, and Susan's got her, she's talking to an investor. She's got her feet up on the desk, barefoot in her shorts and t-shirt, talking all about what's going to happen with Street and how great the menu is going to be. And, and I have this picture of her feet just with her toes twitching. I'm like,
Great shot.
no one is going to have this footage but Liz.
Can I have the still of that?
Yes, you may. But Susan Feniger, as no one has ever seen her. Let's put it-
Feniger's feet.
Yeah, Feniger's feet, F-E-A-T.
Hey, maybe we should sell those and raise more money for Street.
Oh my God.
I
I want to.
don't know. I'm always looking for an angle for you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
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 We'll put it out there with Bitcoin.
But you still need an angle. I mean, you still need to raise more money, and that's
Yes, we
always
do.
the struggle to get
Need a
to the
little
finish
more. We
line.
need a little more.
And
Maybe
your
we-
budget.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
What?
We could, because since Liz has been working on this. I've been going through our street cookbook that we did during this
Oh.
time. I mean, we had a number of years. We had
Great.
like 5 years of it. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like it opened to close.
Yeah.
But, I've been going through the book and like looking at it, like that recipe was great. And I said to Liz this morning, I think I'm going to start cooking from the cookbook. So maybe we should say to investors, okay, if you invest, we'll do in our driveway here, which I've been
dinner.
dying to do.
A dinner.
An
and do this-
investor's dinner.
Oh,
Coconut-
that'd be,
Coconut curried mussels, anyone?
those go big time at these auctions, don't they?
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
that's a great idea. And
Yeah.
what about, is the street cookbook out?
Yeah, of course.
That's published, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a great book and we filmed it all here
It's called Susan Feniger's Street Cookbook.
and we cooked it all here. And the woman who did the photography
Yeah, it's great.
for it was great. And
Can I get that online at Amazon? Where
I
could I
don't
get?
know where you can buy
That-
it through the
That
restaurant.
is a
I'm not
cookbook I'd
sure.
like to have.
It's
That's,
a great
Yeah,
book.
it is a
Maybe
good
we'll
cookbook.
get you one.
no, I just want the pictures of the
think
feet.
Yeah.
Something wrong with him, something really
Yeah,
wrong with
yeah.
him. I don't know, it keeps going to this weird, creepy place, Will.
It's my deal. It's because Dr. D's given me the high sign. Now, do we have like one more minute and the show's over or?
Yep.
Oh, the show's over in a minute? Come on.
We gotta come back.
No.
We gotta come back.
I hope so. I hope so, because there's a lot more questions I want to ask you, just
Yeah.
as we continue. What,
Yeah.
Susan, advice would you give to someone who is starting a restaurant and has this
Don't.
vision? What would you do? Don't.
Well,
Okay.
right now, I might say that, but if it's your passion, I mean, the thing that's really fabulous about it is that, after all these years, I still love being in the restaurant business. It's still, I love it. There's things I used to hate about it, like meetings, and I still do, but beyond that, it's a fantastic career. But right now is a challenging time in the restaurant world. For
I
In
sure.
the world, in the world.
Yeah.
it's a
I would say
challenging
this, you
time.
have to have passion
Yeah.
for
Right.
it, to be in that job,
And I think that's an intangible, actually,
right?
passion.
Mhm.
What about you, Liz? What kind of advice would you give to a fledgling filmmaker?
Same thing, you have to have passion, because you're gonna
Yeah.
have a lot of no's and a lot of things that don't work, and if you don't have passion for it, then you'll just go do something else, which is also fine. But, if you wanna stick with it, you have to have a passion for it.
Well, I
Story-
think if you're-
storytelling, basically.
If you're creative like you two are, there's just no stopping.
I don't know,
really-
I've seen you in a film, Will, and that was pretty cool.
Now.
That was pretty cool, Will.
We may show that one day. Too much oregano. with
See
Will
that?
Knox.
No, it was
You
just
know?
between us.
I
entre nous.
did not see it.
You
Yes,
weren't
it-
invited.
It won the Cannes Film Festival, Best Short Film. I played a Greek chef,
Wow.
That's right.
1981. I couldn't get arrested. I still had to sell real estate, and that's why I found Spago. So here we
Well, I
are.
would arrest you for what I saw.
Can I move in with you guys?
Yeah, we need a houseboy.
I have a foot fetish. Listen, thank you so much for this. This is fantastic. I'm with Ms. Restaurateur Susan Feniger and her devoted documentarian, Liz Lachman. And this has been Mr. Restaurant with Will Knox. Until the next time, see you later. Bye-bye.
We are
Bye-bye. Thanks.
now.
Here's the next element, my friends.
Yes.
We want to get, do we not, a little
Tag.
soundbite from the ladies, so we can then promote them throughout this coming year and then some.
And then also, Dr. D is going to have, what, 3 different cuts or 3 versions?
Yeah, it's each one gets successively shorter. The first one's the full version, all in. The second one will be edited down to 60 minutes, but we're only talking like by 2 minutes, because this was an hour and 2 minutes. I take that back because I don't know how long the music's going to be, so it could be longer. And then the third version for radio, so it fits into automation, will be edited down to 46 minutes. However, I'm not touching the sizzle reel. That
Okay.
will stay intact. So what we need from them now is basically you introduce, the two of you can introduce yourselves. You promote whatever you want to promote, the documentary, the restaurant, what have you. And you're listening to Mr. Restaurant with Will Knox.
So they end with that.
They end with that. All right, ladies?
And then ultimately, you
sorry.
can use these 3 issues on your, launch platforms and
Yeah.
all that.
How
So
long do you need this thing we're gonna?
15, 20, 30 seconds at the most. Don't want to go too long because these basically will be dropped in, going in or out of the program, to just let people know, hey, these are the kinds of guests that we got on the program.
Tell Susan.
Tell me
what we're
again
saying
what we're saying
because
again.
She wasn't
Sorry.
listening.
I
to
was
All right.
you.
looking
Hi,
at it.
See what I have to deal with?
Yeah. Go ahead, Will.
I'm Susan Feniger. This is my collaborator, blah, blah, blah.
No,
There's
I'm
what-
saying my own name.
There you go.
Okay, good. Yeah. So I'm,
Okay.
and we're talking with Will Knox on Mr. Restaurant. We're talking about Susan Feniger Forked, right?
Mhm.
Is that because
Yeah.
we want to promote?
Promote this. Yeah, I
We
would
wanna
say promote
promote
the
them.
documentary. Yeah.
Film.
And you are listening to Mr. Restaurant with Will Knox.
And you are listening to.
We can recut this if it's not right.
Oh, yeah. Well, I crank it around and rearrange it and all that kind of stuff. Play it forwards, play it
He's the
backwards,
master, they call
up
him.
and down.
Okay.
He is the doctor.
All right. Well, our job is to make sure you don't have to cut it.
That's right.
So are we
So
just
you're gonna
promoting the
say your
films that we have?
name,
Yeah.
unless you want it. Is there anything else we should talk about besides besides promoting the film?
I would say let's stay focused on the film, and certainly, please, when you give, I'm a restaurateur, what have you, and I'm film documentarian or whatever your title you choose to use as you
Yeah.
introduce yourself. Okay, you follow me?
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's like I introduce myself all the time. Hi, I'm the Oracle, Dr. D. And nobody believes me, but that's another story for another day.
I'm Susan Feniger, chef raconteur.
There you go.
And then Liz jumps in and says, well, I'm blah, blah, blah. And we're here together to talk about Susan, or we're here
Yeah.
to talk about Susan Feniger.
Talked
Forked.
about the documentary, Susan Feniger Forked. All right.
Yeah.
Are you ladies ready?
The
Kinda.
problem is Susan's
He's-
shy to talk about
I know
herself.
it's hard to get her out of her shell. All right. So
It's true. It's true.
here we go. Ready? I'll count you down.
I think.
Let me get over here.
First.
Here we go. You ready, ladies? In 3, 2, wait a minute. I took that button off, and 3, 2, 1.
Hey, I'm Susan Feniger, and I'm a chef and a restaurateur.
And I'm Liz Lachman, a filmmaker, and we are going to be talking about our new film, the documentary Susan Feniger Forked.
Ooh, I'm so excited, but I can't wait for it to come out. So you're listening to Mr. Restaurateur with Will Knox. Sorry, I blew that.
Go ahead and just do the tagline. And you're listening to Mr. Restaurant with Will Knox.
All right.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. You're live.
You're listening to Mr. Restaurant.
With Will Knox.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Very good. Very
Okay,
good.
so
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, you, oh my gosh. I was watching that, and I was watching some of the food that was being made and the way it was being done on open grills and, that kind of
That was
stuff.
crazy.
It's amazing.
Reminded me of my grandmother back in Florence, Arizona, when her husband made for him, my grandfather made for her this I don't know if it was cast iron, but I know it was a metal stove outside, a big concrete thing with a chimney, a big concrete chimney going up, and it was just all covered. And she would go out there with the tortillas, and no utensils, always used her hands. You know how they do, with the, flipping of the tortillas, back like that. And then she put them on the griddle, and then she would pick it up with her fingers and flip it over. And how you have a genuine homemade tortilla? It has the little tiny black circles.
be careful,
That's how
Dr.
you know.
D. You're talking to the master here.
Oh, man. Good
Yeah.
stuff. And then tamales that she made, especially around the holidays. I love the assembly line she had in her kitchen, and it was a small kitchen.
You know, that is,
Oh.
Verite Grill had the women up front in the window hand making all the